Hi, welcome. My name is Isabelle Dupuy, and this is our new podcast, Fiction Prescriptions. My co-host is Ella Berthoud. Ella, welcome to Fiction Prescriptions.
Thanks, Isabel. We're going to be prescribing fiction to cure life's ailments and looking at different issues every month and giving novels, short stories and poems which relate to particular themes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I know we're a bit further down 2026, but not that deep into it. Enough, though, to still talk about New Year's resolutions.
And there's also going to be how we can help you keep your resolutions if you're struggling with them a little bit. And we're going to be discussing what's in and what's out in 2026.
Yes, and we already have a feel for it now already, don't we?
Yeah.
So what would you say is in, Ella?
So in is joy. That's my major attempt for the years. We're going to have a lot of joy and we're going to have a lot of kick-ass women in this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As well as that, happy endings in literature. I just want happy endings. I know a lot of people feel that that's a bit cheesy and not necessarily what people always want. But right now, I just need happy endings all the time.
I agree. I think happy endings in the world we live in are very, very necessary.
Yeah.
And for me, what is in this year is getting better at rejection, receiving it as a writer, as a woman, as a person, and giving it out as well. Because we're kick-ass women now, and we are also calling our own shots. Another New Year's, what is in? Social media, out?
Difficult because I think we all rely on it so much. And personally, for my bibliotherapy business, I really need it. And as an artist, I use it a lot. So I feel some kind of healthy way of using social media is what we should be striving for.
I think so.
And balancing it with reading when you're not interrupted by social media, which is something I'm always telling my bibliotherapy clients to go and sit in a special place in your house, which is just for reading, turn off your social media and enjoy that reading time uninterrupted. So I think healthy use of social media.
I think that's in for this year. In for this year is focusing without any type of interactive tools. No phone, no laptop, real books.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely an in for me this year.
So going back to another thing that's in kick-ass women, do you have any particular thoughts on kick-ass women in literature?
Well, kick-ass women comes with ramifications because kick-ass women cannot be kick-ass on their own. So Carol Ann Duffy has this wonderful book called The World's Wife, which is a collection of poems based on common mythologies and fairy tales. And in it, there is a poem called Mrs. Beast. And it is so awesome that we should all read it as kick-ass women, that part of our ins will also be a Mr. Beast, and part of our outs will be a Prince Charming. And just to give you a little taste of this poem. The little mermaid slit her shining silver tail in two, rubbed salt into that stinking wound, got up and walked in agony in fishnet tights, stood up and smiled, waltzed, all for a prince, a pretty boy, a charming one, who'd dump her in the end, chuck her, throw her overboard. I could have told her, look, love, I should know, they're bastards when they're princes. What you want to do is find yourself a beast.
Excellent. Yeah, beasts are in, crap men are out. Hearing that poem, I just have to mention Monique Groffy's Mermaid of Black Conch, which is a fantastic book, which has a kick-ass woman in the form of a mermaid who's amazing, and a pretty cool man as well who's not a Prince Charming. He's a dude.
Oh, I haven't read that book, so I look forward to reading it. Yes.
Yeah, and like a lot of Monique Groffy, it has great sex. Which is something we're going to come back to later.
Yeah, that should be on our in list, shouldn't it?
Great sex.
Yes,
I agree.
think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
One of the things we want to talk about for 2026 is happy endings. Yeah, one of my top books for the happy ending is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is a fabulous book. set in space. It's two women in love with each other in the 1980s, which was not really acceptable, especially if you're an astronaut. And it has high jeopardy, with one of the women being down in Houston, the other women being up in a spacecraft which is about to implode potentially, and she
Yeah, I
has
mean,
to
I
bring
think
it
it's quite
back.
quite stressful in the 80s to be in
Yeah.
space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole book has this fantastic jeopardy running through it, but it's all about the relationship. And
And
it's
love.
just a fabulous love story. So I
That's
love
that
that.
sounds I haven't read that. I'd love to read that, Ella. Thank you.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Actually, there was one item we had on our out list that's now moved to the in list, and it's rejection.
Rejection. So rejection is a really interesting topic, which we've been discussing because of this book by Tony Tulathimute, which is a really complex and brilliantly written novel, but it's actually 7 short stories that have been woven together. And it's all about the theme of rejection.
Yeah, the intensity, I think that's why it had to be in a way short story, because the intensity is so high. It's like being on a word roller coaster
Yeah.
reading this book. It's absolutely brilliant. I think one commentator called the author a genius, but also insane. It's a fantastic book, and it's about rejection in all its forms, isn't it? Like even the rejection of self, like, which I guess is the first form of rejection.
Yeah, it's
Um,
rejection as yourself, as a lover, rejection in terms of your social setup, and rejection ultimately as a writer.
yeah, the last chapter is actually of it's a fiction, obviously, but of this manuscript being sent to a publisher and the imagined response of the publisher rejecting this manuscript. It's hilarious. It's we were both completely absorbed and
Bowled over, really.
yeah.
And actually, you've been mentioning the idea of literature as a kind of turmeric shot, which I love as an idea. And I think this is one of those, because it's in kind of short story form, even though it becomes a novel. It's got that amazing intensity and almost unbearable um, effect with like when you knock back a
Yeah,
turmeric
and I think
shot.
this is something that fiction can do because it's not about you, it's about the story. It can help you face things that maybe are incredibly hard to do when they're just about you.
Yeah, that's
This
true.
is again a book that shows you that life sucks, but it's always interesting, and you can read this and somehow your perspective on rejection may shift a bit.
Yeah, and so
It doesn't have to
like
be
it
that
has with us,
painful. Yeah.
rejection is now in when we thought it
Yeah.
was out.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
as kick-ass women ourselves, we
Yeah.
want to be rejecting what is
We
not good in our
yeah,
lives.
we have agency. We can
Yeah.
make decisions.
Yeah. So kick-ass women is something that we've been saying is in, and I've got a fantastic novel recommendation for that, which is The Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead, which is a fantastic book about a female aviatrix who travels around the world, around the whole globe, the circumference of it. And it's kind of based a little bit on the life of Amelia Earhart. So if anyone knows her story, you know what happens, and it has a similar plot trajectory, but it also has a great unexpected ending. And she's a complete kick-ass woman. It's a long book. It does kind of ramble a little bit, but it's a really satisfying read.
Which brings us to the outlist. What else is on the outlist, Ella?
Cynicism. Yeah, goodbye to cynicism. I guess that kind of goes with my need for happy endings in life. Goodbye to cynicism in literature and in life. Let's embrace fun and joy. And actually, a couple of books I love for an antidote to cynicism are Sarah Winman's Still Life, which is a really gorgeous book.
The
Do you know
title is
it?
beautiful. No, I don't know it.
So it's set in Florence. It starts in the Second World War, and it's about a soldier called Ulysses who ends up, by some miracle, living in a house in Florence after the Second World War. He comes from the East End of London, and there in Florence, he creates this whole new life for himself, which is a very unexpected, non-nuclear family kind of life. There's also a parrot who is constantly speaking quotes from Shakespeare, who is a really lovely character. But all the characters in it are fabulous. There is sadness and death and a lot of real life in it. And there's also the Great Flood of Florence, which took place in the 60s, which was a real event,
Oh,
which is
wow.
described in the book really beautifully. And Ulysses becomes a globe maker, and there's a really wonderful scene where he's walking through the streets of Florence with a paper globe, saving it from the rising waters.
Oh, that's
And it's
beautiful.
just got this really wonderful life embracing aspect to it. And it's a book that I've given a lot of people uh, as bibliotherapy clients who've loved it.
Oh, I can't wait to read it.
Mm.
Oh, that sounds
Do you have
amazing.
any books or stories that come to mind of antidotes to cynicism?
Top of my head, no. I think I need to do research on this because maybe I have fallen myself into a bit of a cynical little
Mm.
bend. So this is work for me on 2026, but I'm definitely on this one as an out
Another book I
element.
just have to mention, which is a great
Yes, I would love
anti-cynicism
more. Yes.
novel. There's a great book called The Dud Avocado by Elaine
Oh,
Dundee, which was written in the 1950s, and it's about a girl of 22 going to live in Paris. Her uncle has said to her, "Go and live in Paris, have a great time, just and I'll fund you. Just write to me every week and tell me what you're doing." So that's her brief. She goes to Paris, and she's a very initially hesitant, uncertain character, but she grows into herself and has an amazing time. And that's really what it's about. It's her sort of becoming an adult. But she makes quite a lot of mistakes, and some of it is quite jeopardizing. You know, she has some bad sexual encounters, and she
oh,
kind of redefines herself as the book goes on. So you really
oh! It's a
go on
bit
a
like
journey.
Margot's in Trouble.
Yes, I love that
Yes, that
book.
was a lovely book as well. Now that
Yeah.
you make me think, you see, I can actually rise above my cynical self. There's a
Mm.
short story that is very good about cynicism as well. It's called "Those Who Walk Away from Omelas"
Ah,
by
who's
Ursula Le Guin,
mm, I
who
love her
was
as
a
a
great,
writer.
yeah, she was a great science fiction writer and actually a great short story writer. And "Those Who Walk Away from Omelas" is a very simple story. You can tell it in a line, really.
Mm.
And it challenges a lot of our preconceptions, I think, about the developed societies that we live in.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's very short. It's an easy, very easy read. Could be a children's story, really. But it's actually quite complex under its simplicity. I mean, so thank you, Ella. You've because at first I
Mm.
thought I have nothing to say about this. It's all doom and
Nothing
gloom from here.
uncynical. But
And
Ursula Le
actually,
Guin, she's in. She's
yeah.
definitely in.
Yeah, she's in. She's in.
Yeah,
And actually you've
we
made
love
me
her.
think about it. And yes, yes, there is. I think that's the courage.
Yeah,
Courage is in. The
absolutely.
courage to think above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in going back to New Year's, we've all just been spending time with our families over Christmas, which can be quite a challenging time. And I know,
And brings up resolutions. I mean, what
yeah,
what what is your what would you like to see for yourself in 2026?
I would like to have an experience of home which is more calm and settled because my current life is not that. So I need to somehow make that happen. And that's definitely one of my resolutions for the year.
And I just spent 2 weeks with my Caribbean family that is quite extended and quite intense. I think there were 12 of us at dinner every day, or at just hanging around in the afternoon every day, in Florida, and it always brings up all kinds of emotions being in that intense family environment. And so we thought that every month we would bring one work out really and talk about. And so, because of both of our concerns and our ambitions for 2026, mine is to handle my family better and to be less affected by drama inside my family and to somehow find a way to rise above. We thought the book for this session would be this one.
A House for Mr. Biswas by V.S. Naipaul.
Yes. So V.S. Naipaul won a Nobel Prize for Literature. He's from Trinidad, of Indian descent, and Ella knows him very well. She wrote her dissertation about him at Cambridge, and I'm from Haiti, an island not far from Trinidad, different population, but I would say, but the nature is eerily similar, and the rhythm and some of the despair that comes from sitting in a country, I think, that has this one season.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think having seasons is a chance actually to change throughout the
that's
year.
true.
In the
Yeah.
Caribbean, you don't really get that very much.
And this is a
Um,
book that really spoke to both of us
yes,
on deep levels, and I think it's
and it's
very
very funny,
relevant to
and it's
to
funny.
both of us now.
I will read you a short excerpt. It's the story of a man who marries into a a richer family than the one he came from, and they're quite oppressive. And he is struggling not to drown in that family and to maintain a sense of self and of identity for himself and his children. And for that, he would need a house. And this whole book is about how this man struggles and fails and comes back and fails until he finally succeeds in getting a house for himself and not living in the extended compound of his in laws. This is what happens when he is living with the in laws. Shama, his wife, came into the room with the brass plate loaded with rice, curried potatoes, lentils, and coconut chutney. How often you want me to tell you that I hate those blasted brass plates? She put the plate on the floor. He walked around it. Nobody ever teach you hygiene at school? Rice, potatoes, all that damn starch. He tapped his belly. You want to blow me up? At the sight of Shama, his depression had turned to anger. I always say, Shama said, that you must complain only when you start providing your own food. He went to the window, washed his hands, gargled, and spat. Someone shouted from below, Up there! Look what you're doing! I know, Shama said, running to the window. I know this was bound to happen one day. You spit on somebody.
Naipaul is really funny, and I think it's something that people don't necessarily associate with him because I think as he got older, he seemed more serious. But his books are hilarious, and I found that book very comic, but also A Mystic Masseur, one of his earlier ones, is really funny, and he really gets the dialect of the Trinidadian street people brilliantly. So I used to live in Trinidad for 7 years when I was a teenager and young adult. So that's why I discovered Naipaul to start with. But then studied him at Cambridge and completely fell in love with his writing. And I think he's a fantastic writer. And that book really takes you on a journey of discovery of identity and how to fit in the world. And he goes through so many different trials and tribulations. He builds his own house. He's not very good at it. He's not a very practical man. He's kind of stuck with this incredibly difficult family. They kind of reject him and then they re-embrace him. He has a very difficult relationship with his wife. And there's that whole thing of what you're talking about, of being in a huge, complex family all the time with no privacy. But he does manage to get his house in the end
Yes.
without giving
And I
too
think that
much
the thing
away.
that I love about it, which is goes with our theme of cynicism out, is that in families you end up in situations where you feel like there's no way out. Like the conflict is so deep, no one can be right, no one will admit to be wrong. The points of views are so entrenched, and you see this in this book. You see that there's in some situations you're like, there is no way Mr. Biswas will ever be able to get on with his in-laws or to have any form of comfort with them or feel any sense of empathy or sympathy with them because of horrible things that happen. And yet, throughout the 500 pages of this book, it's not a small book. Maybe it takes that long in a way, and yet they do find peace.
Yeah.
They do find a way without ever acknowledging, without everyone ever winning the argument of somehow transcending it and being a family. And when he dies, who is there for his wife, her family? Who comes and gives him a nice funeral? those in-laws. And
Yeah.
so it's an incredibly positive book about how a family can go through all kinds of tribulations and hatreds and actually come through without ever solving the basic questions. No one ever apologizes in this book, but yet peace can be found and love can be found. And I find that to be such a comforting and reassuring and uncynical message, because that's
Yeah.
what we all need. We all need a bit of forgiveness. And it's not about winning arguments or being right. And very, very good. I think he was probably deep down a feminist, because he writes about women so realistically and so well, and how women in his community, in this Hindu community, were not educated on purpose, were kept in the kitchen. And it's yeah, he I think I highly, we both, exactly, we think this is our pick for the month. So go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about family, about settling, about a home, about feeling peaceful in your home.
Yeah. And I just want to quickly mention The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen as another brilliant book
That
about
is, yes,
family,
I've
which
read that one too.
definitely has some parallels with
Yes.
Biswas. And it's a great book for thinking about the knitting together of the family and the forgiveness that everyone has to have for each other. Another cure for cynicism and another way of bringing in joy. I want to read you from this fabulous book by Don Marquis, which is Archie's Life of Mehetabel. And for people that don't know it, Archie is a cockroach, Mehetabel's a cat, and Archie lives in the offices of a New York newspaper, and he bounces his head down onto the keys of a typewriter in order to write his poetry. So the poetry is all vers libre, there's no capital letters, because as a cockroach, he obviously can't use a shift key. And these poems were published in a newspaper in New York from, I think, 1915 for about 20 years. And they were published weekly, and they're still incredibly popular in the States and people that know about them, like us now. So my favorite poem by him, which is one I was first introduced to, is The Lesson of the Moth. I was talking to a moth the other evening. He was trying to break into an electric light bulb and fry himself on the wires. Why do you fellows pull this stunt? I asked him. Because it is the conventional thing for moths? Or why? If that had been an uncovered candle instead of an electric light bulb, you would now be a small, unsightly cinder. Have you no sense? Plenty of it, he answered, but at times we get tired of using it. We get bored with the routine and crave beauty and excitement. Fire is beautiful, and we know that if we get too close, it will kill us. But what does that matter? It is better to be happy for a moment and be burned up with beauty. I'm going to hand it to you now to read the last section.
Than to live a long time and be bored all the while. So we wad all our life up into one little roll, and then we shoot the roll. That is what life is for. It is better to be a part of beauty for one instant and then cease to exist than to exist forever and never be a part of beauty. Our attitude towards life is come easy, go easy. We're like human beings, used to be before they became too civilized to enjoy themselves. And before I could argue him out of his philosophy, he went and immolated himself on a patent cigar lighter. I do not agree with him. Myself, I would rather have half the happiness and twice the longevity. And at the same time, I wish there was something I wanted as badly as he wanted to fry himself.
Half the happiness and twice the longevity. Or do we wad ourselves into a ball and shoot ourselves at the flame? That's the question.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. We all sometimes ask ourselves this question, don't we?
Exactly. Yeah. Do we fry ourselves in beauty? But I love that poem because it's about the importance of art, really, the importance of embracing life.
It's not just the importance, it's the essential importance.
Exactly. And one of his other poems, which we might return to another day, is his Life of Mehetabel, the cat. And her expression is my favorite expression, which is toujours gay. She says, toujours gay, Archie. And I think that should be our motto
for
our podcast.
I think so. Toujours gay.
Toujours
Ella.
gay.
Thank you so much, Ella. I can't believe it. We've done our first fiction prescription.
Yay! Amazing. So much fun.
We can't wait to do the next one. What's our next topic?
That's going to be about love in all its forms. And it's going to be really fun and interesting. Can't wait.
But isn't love about all our podcasts?
Well, I think it relates to everything. So it's always going to be a love theme. But we'll particularly be thinking about love next month. Do send in questions if you have any. We'd love to know your particular thoughts, and we'll be ready and waiting with fiction prescriptions.
Yeah, so please send us your questions. We can't wait to see them.
Thank you.
Thank you.